In today's lesson, we want to look at the question number 3 of the just ended 2025 wassce core mathematics objective question. So let's look at it. The question number 3. A town P is due south of town Q, and town R is on a bearing of 125 degrees from Q. If R is 20 kilometers due east of P, we want to find the length of PQ or the magnitude of PQ or the distance PQ. So these are the possible answers. Once you are done, you come back and check through to see which one of them is the right one. Looking at this question falls under distance and bearing problem. So before we will proceed, let's sketch the diagram for the question. So we have a town P is due south of town Q. So let's call this point Q. That is what? Town Q. Since we are talking about what? Bearings, we are going to draw our cardinal points. We have north, we have south, we have east, and then west. Town P is due south of town Q. So this is town Q, and town P is due south. So it means we are going to move southwards. We are going to move down of south. So we are going to extend this line. Let's end at this zero point, and let's call it town P. So once we reach town P, we can also draw our cardinal points. We have our north, our south, our east, and then west. And town R is on a bearing of 125 degrees from Q. We know that in bearing, we start measuring from the geographical north in a clockwise direction. So this is Q, and this is our north pole. We are going to start measuring from the north in a clockwise direction. You know that this quadrant is 90 degrees, and this quadrant will also be 90 degrees. 90 plus 90 will give us what? 180. Therefore, the measure of the angle from the north to the south pole is 180. And then the measure of the angle from the north to the east is 90. We are talking about 125. So it will fall in this quadrant. So we are going to measure from the north till we get to this quadrant. Then we draw our distance. So we have our R, and then we have 125 degrees. Let's continue. If R is 20 kilometers due east of P, so this R is 20 kilometers due east of P. So this is P, and due east is at this very side. So we are going to extend the line of east till we get towards R. And then we have 20 kilometers due east of P. Now once we are done with this, we want to find the length of what? PQ. So this is PQ. So we are looking for this length or this distance. So we can see that this diagram is what? A triangle. So we have triangle PQR. Triangle PQR. Now the angle created here is 90 degrees, and therefore this triangle is what? A right angled triangle. Since we are having a right angled triangle, we can use the trig ratios to find any of the sides and any of the angles. Since we've been given the bearing of the north to this terminal line, it can help us to find the measure of this particular angle, this small angle. We know that the measure of the angle from the north to the south pole is what? 180. We have 180. But we know the measure of the angle from the north to this terminal line, which is what? 125. So to find this small angle, we have to subtract 125 from what? 180 degrees, and that is going to give us what? 55 degrees. So this angle is what? 55 degrees. Now once we know this angle, we can use the trig ratios. And which one of them can we use? We can use tan of the angle 55 since we are looking for PQ. So we can say that tan of the angle, let's say theta, is giving us the opposite all over what? The adjacent. We have tan of the angle. The angle is what, 55 degrees. So we have 55 is equal to the opposite. The opposite is what, 20 kilometers all over the adjacent. The adjacent, we don't know, that is what, x. So from here, when you do your change of subject, we are going to get our x is equal to 20 divided by tan 55 degrees. Now when you point it on your calculator, you are going to get 14.001 kilometers. Therefore, the length or the magnitude of PQ is 14 kilometers. Now you can see that it is the answer, the very, very easy and then simple. See you tomorrow for the next question. Bye bye.